Basically, today I wanted to go over um, DEI related stuff because I've been thinking about DEI a lot. Um, I did that ad for the Freedom Foundation, and it required me to write a script and do a bunch of research on DEI, and it's very interesting because I like to understand things very thoroughly before I go and make a video that has the potential to maybe go viral. I do not want to be misinforming anybody. And so I did kind of a deep dive into DEI, and I'm also drawing from other things I've heard just over the past couple of years, other um, insights that I've gathered. And um, yeah, so we're going to talk about DEI and why it is anti-American, and then what where they trick us, basically. Because I don't think I have to convince anybody here that DEI is a bad thing and that it has bad results and that it is causing the mistreatment of many different groups. Um, but I think it's really great to understand where they're able to trick us. Like, how were they able to convince anybody that this was a good idea? And it has to do with the language that they're using. So that'll be fun to talk about a little bit. Um, and I am getting over a cold, and I probably need to blow my nose real quick before we start, so bear with me. Hold on. Okay. Isn't this such an interesting time? Very eventful. All right, so um, I'm also going to try to. I want my EMT to look like me. LOL, Sam. I was just gonna say I was gonna try to read the comments because I'm sure there's some good ones coming in, like Sam talking about the importance of having an EMT who is representative of a minority group. Very true. Very true. Okay, so I'll do my little introduction here. So my name's Lily. I run In the Know Idaho. If you didn't know that already, I'm based out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and um, I've spent the last couple of years learning about Idaho politics and getting involved, and kind of created this account as a way to share the information that I was learning and that my friends were learning. So we made it together initially, and I've kind of kept it going since then. And in November, I made a video about Prop 1, criticizing its many downsides in a satirical fashion, and it went a little bit viral, uh, at least within the Idaho political community. And since then, I've been making more satire videos. I've been called the JP Sears of Idaho, which I love. I think that's a wonderful compliment. Um, and so I do satire videos. Just finished up a couple projects I was working with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. So I did like the grocery tax video. I did one on DEI, and there's one more probably coming out tomorrow. Surprise topic. You'll see it when it comes out. And then I was also collaborating with Citizens Alliance of Idaho, making twice weekly videos of all sorts of different subjects, so that's been a lot of fun. So that's what you can kind of expect from me moving forward, but at the same time, since this account started out as an educational account, and since that's the most important part of being an American, is understanding what it means to be an American and understanding the mind games that the media tries to play with us, I still like to talk about that stuff too. So that's what we're doing today. Um, and let's see. Yeah, my goal is to help you to um, just become a more well-equipped conservative because people are going to ask you what you believe, and you're going to have an opportunity to either say, oh, I was just raised this way, or it sounds like the truth, or whatever. Or you can have you can give them like some real answers because there are real answers, and it is true, but we have to be able to explain why. If you want to have any sort of credibility or just be more effective. Um, so as we're going, if you have questions or comments throughout, I'd love to hear them. Leave them in the comments on YouTube or Instagram. That would be great. And with that, I'll just hop right into the whole DEI thing finally. Um, so like I said, I did a DEI video with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Definitely watch it if you haven't seen it already, and definitely check them out because they do good work. So it was kind of funny reading the comments on that one because a lot of people did not pick up on the fact that it was satire. They thought I really wanted people to be attending toxic masculinity seminars, and they thought I really was praising Karl Marx and his college indoctrination story. But that's not true. I was joking because all those things are silly. And um, so DEI is obviously a big problem in college. That's maybe, I don't know if that's the first place you encounter DEI when you go out into the world, because it's kind of like the first step into adulthood when a kid goes to college. But that's definitely kind of the hotbed, the breeding ground, you could say, of this ideology because it's the perfect opportunity. The kids are going to school, they're ready to learn whatever you're going to throw at them. And hey, why not teach them that their society is extremely oppressive and that their ancestors are actually criminals and anything we can do to tear America down. Wouldn't that be fun? So that's what they've been doing. And by they, I mean the powers that be. And I think this is really important to know. DEI is not just like some idea that caught on that people actually like to do. It's being funded from the top by world powers. And to prove this, it's very easy to prove, actually, because the world powers put it on their website. If you go to the United Nations website, uh, check out Project 2030, or better yet, look at their Sustainable Development Goals. And it's nuts. Like, they they want to do all these things, these noble things. They want to end poverty. They want to end hunger. They want everyone to have medical attention. They want everyone to get a quality education. That's number 4. They want gender equality, clean water, like all this stuff. This is the United Nations. Like these are the globalists. You have to understand these are the globalists. They're trying to go around our Constitution to implement their own sort of Constitution. They don't want us to, they don't want our society to be based on merit. They want themselves to be in charge so that they can make sure that no one has to earn anything on their own merit. That's their professed goal. One of their professed goals. There are 17 on this list. And that wasn't an explicit one that they wrote down, but it's implied. Sprinkled throughout everything they say and do. So, yes, they're definitely targeting the higher education institutions. Obviously, DEI is also found in the workplace. With the Disney movies and the actors, and Snow White was literally Hispanic, I think. Yeah, they're trying to implement it in churches. That's why you see like these woke pastors. That's literally part of their goal. They I don't know if it's just the United Nations or if it's like the World Economic Forum or how they all work together and who's in charge of what. But basically, they've identified the primary pillars of culture. Basically, they're like family, education, work, faith, um, society. Like they're trying to infiltrate each of those, and they're using money to do it. You can follow the money trails. Lots of people have done that already. That's how we know. That's how we've been able to deduce all of this. But yeah, so I think it's important to note where DEI is coming from. Like, yeah, this isn't just a catchy idea that one guy thought of and everyone's just like, oh, let's do it. We're being intentionally deceived into relinquishing the moral foundation of our country. So, keep that in mind. Yeah, so, let's see, where do I want to go from here? It's being done on purpose, it's being done maliciously. And the problem is that people who don't know any better go along with it thinking, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I do feel oppressed. I do feel like because I'm a woman, I don't have the same opportunities. We do need this. But little do they know that it's going to topple our entire society piece by piece. So the way that they've been doing this, I feel like this is good to know as well. The way that they kind of introduced this is they're like, hey guys, we need more diversity. And people go, oh, what's diversity? And they're like, well, it's when you can kind of find common ground with people who aren't the same as you. And you can kind of like still be their friends, still get along. You can still coexist, work together. And people go, oh yeah, diversity is great. We definitely need diversity. Like, no objections. But the problem is what they do, what the woke do, basically, is that they go, we want this much diversity. And then people go, okay, yeah, we can afford that much diversity. Sure, we'll give you that. And then the woke come back and they go, actually, that's not enough. We need more diversity. And then again, conservatives will concede. We'll go, oh, okay, well, I can see what you mean. I see your point. We concede again, and they gain more ground. And they keep doing that. They keep coming back. That's where they change the goalpost. And people are pointing this out with like the Tesla thing, where before, in order to be woke, you had to be investing in green energy, and you had to be driving an EV. But now, it's not enough to be driving an EV. You have to be driving an EV owned by someone who's not Elon Musk. And if you don't, then you're actually going to get your car ruined. Like, they're not just upset with you, they want to destroy you. And so that's kind of the progression of woke and like, I think diversity started out as probably a noble goal where people were like, yes, that sounds so good. But then it quickly snowballs into something that they never imagined because they're basically giving into, I don't know how to say this, but in my mind, I'm kind of comparing it to like a kid. You're kind of spoiling the kid. And then all of a sudden you look at this kid and you're like, what happened to you? Oh, it's because I allowed you to eat a gallon of ice cream every day. And then I started buying you more ice cream on top of that. And then I started buying you presents because you were crying at the store. And I just wanted everyone to be happy. But now you're spoiled. Whoops. So that's kind of how that works. So DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion, of course. But those words have been completely hijacked because if you stop and think for just a moment, you'll start to notice that diversity doesn't mean that everyone needs to have blue hair, and diversity doesn't mean that there are no conservatives allowed. Diversity should mean that there is actually a good mix of different ideas. But right now, what diversity means in DEI is that you have to have our idea, and it's diverse um, in the sense that it's contrary to the traditional American values. So like it's a little bit diverse, but then once it becomes diverse, their version of diverse, then they set up camp and they're like, all right, you guys get to leave now. We're the only diversity that's allowed, basically. So that's messed up. And um let's see, diversity. Yeah. I'm trying to decide if I want to elaborate on that right now. I think I will. I think I'll elaborate on that. Let's start with diversity. So, it was very illuminating to look at the dictionary definition of diversity, especially from like pre uh pre 20th century, where there was no woke. There was just thinking, common sense, all that good stuff. Um, Basically diversity. Let me actually pull this up because there were some gems. Diversity. Okay. The first definition of diversity. Difference. Dissimilitude. Dissimilitude? Dissimilitude, I think. Unlikeness. Variety. Distinct. Distinct being as opposed to identity. That's a confusing definition. We won't linger on that one. I just happened to read it just now. So difference. So diversity is supposed to be kind of like a flower garden. That's the visual I like to use for it, where you have like many different kinds of flowers, but they're still flowers, and they still have the common goal of growing and looking beautiful, and um, they drink the same water. They all look the same on the inside, mostly. Um, and that's a healthy kind of diversity because if you talk to any gardener, you'll find out that plants really benefit from having diversity. Like the short plants benefit from uh, the tall plants because it gives them shade, and the tall plants, um, their roots are protected and guarded by the short plants. And so, like, yes, there's differences there, but they're also still supporting each other. They're not trying to tear each other down. And so, um, I think that I think that is the really big difference in the DEI version of diversity. It's this this version of diversity actually aims to tear us down. And it doesn't have anything to do with race or gender or religion or anything like that, but it does have to do with American values. So we have to understand that there are certain things that make you an American. And basically, it's listed in the Declaration of Independence. Do you believe that um, all people are created equal? Do you believe that we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by nature of being a person? Like, those are the questions you need to ask someone to figure out whether they hold American values or not, in my opinion. Um, and what too much diversity could do is it might introduce anti-American ideas um, without us realizing it. I think I really don't know what the progression of DEI has looked like. I haven't been following it that long, but I can imagine that that it this this diversity has looked like a lot of small compromises where people, I don't know, like a college admissions board or whatever, they're like, oh, sure, we can make an exception for them. We can make an exception for them. They might not have the scores, but we feel bad for them. Um, we don't want to look like we're excluding a certain religion or race or anything like that. So we're gonna make them feel extra special. But then all of a sudden, you don't have you don't have very much in common anymore. It's really important that we still have something in common. And all I believe that we should have in common is those American values. I think that's the only thing that matters because you do get people who come from all over, they're immigrants, they're born here, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you can all come together and focus on that common goal of education as a free American and trying to be better, trying to invent stuff, whatever it is, that's we have to have something, some goal in common. So I think I don't know. I just think that's really important to know. Um, yeah, I was also thinking about this as in the example of a business. If you have these employees who are showing up to work and um, everyone has the same goal, you'll get a lot done. Like, you'll be a really healthy company if everyone is excited to work there, they're ready to take responsibility for themselves, they're ready to be proactive, they're doing the extra education, they're trying to problem solve, and they actually want to achieve what you are leading them to achieve, you're actually going to get there pretty quickly. But if you have a hyper diverse environment where um, they're trying to artificially, I don't know, I kind of want to call it artificial diversity. I don't know if that's a good term for this, but uh, if you have an environment where, like, one guy shows up to work and he goes, "Hey everyone, like, my name is Melvin, and I have they them pronouns, and I don't really like talking to anybody, um, and I don't really like to operate a chainsaw, so I'm not going to be much help." everyone just goes, okay, we'll see what we can do. And then someone else, like, just imagine a whole group of people like that, where they don't actually want to achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve as a group. Um, they kind of just want their own thing, or they want you to be accepting of them just how they are, but in reality, like, you need them to do a certain thing. Can you just see, like, what a mess that would be? The visual for that is so funny to me. So yeah, too much diversity, too much, did I come up with a different word for this? Because I feel like diversity isn't the right word. Um, well, I guess, in summary, when people have too many differences and no goal in common, nothing gets done, basically. So don't be afraid to shy away from the fake diversity that they're trying to impose. Diversity, cool. So the next word is, of course, equity. And this is a shorter topic because equity basically just means justice and doing the right thing. Well, actually, this is kind of funny. Equity is the impartial distribution of justice, or doing that to another which the laws of God and man, and of reason, give him a right to claim. It is the treating of a person according to justice and reason. So, justice, that's the big one. America is all about liberty and justice for all, right? So, equity probably used to be a really good term. It probably used to describe us quite well. But what they have done is they have taken a good word and they have applied it to a bad thing. And so now they say, don't you want equity? Excuse me. Don't you want justice? Don't you want to do the right thing? Don't you want to treat people rightly? And you go like, yeah, I do, but not like that. So, yeah. If you just think about, if you just think of the word equity as meaning justice, I feel like that is so illuminating on its own because obviously, um, treating people differently, discriminating against whoever, whether it's the white males or whether it's um, the Asians who are super smart, like, obviously discrimination is not just. So if you think that your redistribution of wealth is equitable, you're wrong because that's not just. So yeah, that was a fun one. Super quick. And then what's the last one? Oh yeah, inclusion. I kind of talked about inclusion in my previous live stream, which was kind of, well, I guess that was kind of the topic. We were talking about the town hall and how the town hall debacle and how people were claiming that the Republicans aren't inclusive and that this should have been a super public event and stuff like that. But looking at the definition of inclusion, I discovered that include means to contain within, meaning that there is a boundary that you're inside of. I'm trying to get it for the vertical here. So there was an example of like a walnut. So like there's something inside. It's not everyone can be inside. There's obviously a limit as to how many people can fit. And so when you're thinking about inclusion, like including in what? Like I feel like the left tries to be perfectly inclusive. Unless we're talking about conservatives, in which case they love to exclude us. But like if you're talking about like all of the minorities, the oppressed, the disabled, like anything you can think of, they try to include them. And so they get to be within the boundaries. They get to be within this little shell. And when it comes to America, when it comes to our borders, it's like, sure, come on in. We've got room for you. We've got room for you. We've got room for you. But inclusion means that you have to exclude someone else. Because inclusion is not all encompassing. You can't include everyone in something. Unless you are planet Earth, in which case we are all included in the Earth's atmosphere, except for the astronauts. But I don't think they mind, because they're doing some fun stuff up there. So, yeah, you just cannot include everybody. Or if you're thinking of like a party, you know, in the sitcoms where someone will have a party, like the teenager who's home alone for the weekend throws a party, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can come, you can come." I'll invite like 5 friends, and then they start inviting their friends, and they start inviting their friends, and at some point it just becomes too much, and there are too many people in the house, and they have to finally go, "Okay, guys, this isn't working. I don't even know half of you. You're not here to celebrate me on my birthday or whatever. Like, we're missing the point. Why are you here? Why are you eating all my food?" um, yeah, that's kind of that's a picture that I get about inclusion, because you obviously have to draw a line. And um, again, going back to the woke goalpost that they move, the line gets moved all the time. Like, are we gonna include um, white, the black people who look white or not? Because on one hand they're black, but on the other hand they look white, and so they get white privilege. So they say. Um, yeah. So inclusion is so crazy. Like, to imply that inclusion means that we need to widen the net. I mean, I think that's exactly what they're trying to do. If you if you take if you're looking at America as a country, and you're looking at our values, and you're looking at the glue that holds us together, obviously, if you're looking at it in a traditional sense, we have some specific rules about how it is to live in our country, because we know that that's what works. Like, the rules used to be, um, like I don't know. I've been giving a lot of examples, but I think you know what I mean. So, um, what am I going to say here? They know, okay, so masculinity, for example. People have been talking a lot these days about how the feminist movement was a dig at masculinity, because they knew that if they could convince men that they were useless, then society would crumble. Because then you wouldn't have marriages anymore, the birth rate would go down, um, they'd be demoralized, we would have all this infighting, that kind of stuff. So I think trying to widen the net of what is permitted on American campuses specifically, what kind of talk is permitted, what kind of behavior, what kind of pronouns, who's allowed in the bathroom. Like, they're trying to widen the net and um, change the boundaries, basically. And it's just something we need to be aware of, because uh, it's going to have consequences. And yeah, I hope that's making sense. Um, yeah, that's some definitions for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Pretty fun. Let's see, what do I have next? So, something I wanted to touch on real quick is, um, so when I posted oh, my hair's been doing something crazy. Nice. That's good. Just record that forever. Um, when I posted my DEI video, it made it to a funny crowd on X, where I'm pretty sure they were actual white supremacists. And I don't even know if they were real people or not. Bots are everywhere. But they were commenting on this video and they're like, you never said once that DEI was anti-white. You have to say that it's anti-white. Like, you have to say that colleges are being racist against white people. And I was like, I don't disagree with that, but it's more than that. It's very much anti-American. It doesn't really matter whether you're white or not, because, like, a black conservative will be ostracized too as soon as he opens his mouth. Um, and But these people were very insistent. They're like, no, it's whiteness. You have to say that it's about whiteness. And these red flags started going up for me. I was like, this is like reverse social justice. Like, instead of black people crying foul, it's white people crying foul. And I was like, I'm not doing that. No way. And it just got me thinking, because like I can see how at a glance it might seem like DEI only targets white people, because I don't know, a lot of the times it seems like we're the most affected, but it's actually doesn't really have much to do with the color of your skin. Like, it comes up a lot because they just love racism and they love dividing people. But there's like some statistic where most of the DEI officers on college campuses are white. It's like 80%. So how could it be anti-white if they still have white people in those roles? I'm sure if they found a black guy who wanted to do it, they'd replace him in a heartbeat because it fits their agenda better. But um, like, you've got all these white LGBTQ people. You can't. Maybe it's just because there's too many of us, because white people comprise, like, I forget if it's like 70% of the American population, because we're descended from Europeans. We can't help it. That's just how it is. But it really, it's really not about the color of your skin. I guess it is about culture. Like, it's about the American history. It's only anti-white so far as it's anti-American, because the founders were white, mostly. Um, but yeah, just think about all the white people who do benefit from DEI, who fit another oppressed group. Like, they fit into another category, and so the whiteness can be overlooked. But I do agree, like, if they had their way, the ideal person is like, there's that joke where it's like a Asian, Pacific Islander, disabled, like, neurodivergent woman. That's like the ideal person according to their, what's that called? Intersectionality? I think that's what that's called. According to their charts. Um, yeah. But because it's about breaking down the foundation of our society and our moral foundation, um, they could care less what we look like, honestly. They're just trying to go for what hurts. And They're trying to convince the ancestors of the founders that the founders were evil. We already know this. If you have relatives on the Mayflower, that's terrible. Good luck in life. You descend from slave owners. Yeah, that's more what it's about. So I would really advise not to fall for the race baiting. Um, it's only a portion of the issue. That's the thing. The issue is much bigger than that. And with that, I think I've probably talked long enough for today. Um, yeah, yeah. Haven't had a lot of comments, so I'll give you an opportunity to comment right now if anyone's listening and wants to say anything about DEI, or the college or whatever. Just give a second. But yeah, that's kind of DEI in essence. It's crazy stuff, but just to summarize again, like, DEI is not accidental, it's malicious. It's coming down from the top, from the globalists who want to see our institutions changed and who want to see traditional American values toppled. They don't want people to, well, there's also, with the equity thing, there's also the socialist aspect of that where they want to redistribute wealth. They want to steal from the rich and give to the poor. They want to steal opportunities from the rich and give them to the poor, which is all backwards. And there's already scholarships available. Like, if it's just money that's the issue, there are solutions for you. But if you've got a work ethic problem, or if you just hate the country, or if you just hate learning, why should we give you our special college spots? Yeah. Not great. Not great at all. So, and yeah, I would highly recommend looking at the UN sustainability goals, sustainable development goals, because they're still working on them. They love these goals. You can kind of, I mean, they have more influence than you probably realize if you've never looked at this before. Since COVID, it's been very obvious that this is where it's all coming from. But if you've never looked, this will be a fun surprise for you. You'll be like, oh, that's why the world is crazy. It's because of the globalists. They're trying to do stuff. They're trying to make deals in back rooms. Trying to undermine the Constitution, and they're trying to be all socialism and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, take a look at those. And, oh, on a good note, so Idaho did just pass a sort of anti-DEI bill. And this is great. I'll take full credit for this because I made that little video and that probably pushed it right over. Just kidding. But this, let me read you the statement of purpose. I think this summarizes it very well, as it is supposed to. This legislation works to protect freedom of inquiry and the pursuit of knowledge in Idaho's institutions of higher education by freeing students and faculty from compulsory ideological training. In addition, it prohibits DEI-based discrimination in admission and hiring, DEI-related employee incentives, DEI offices and officer positions. That's good, because they were spending millions on those. Diversity training, and bias reporting systems. Thank goodness. So you can't tattle on your roommate for not posting the black square. Great. Students also may not be forced to enroll in a course designed and implemented with DEI principles unless their chosen course of study is based upon those concepts. Excuse me. There are, I think every Idaho student or something is required to take courses in like some sort of DEI thing. Like it's on their list of required courses for graduation. So they were literally being forced to sit through this stuff. And they're paying for this and they don't want this. So that's really good. Glad to hear that. I don't know if y'all heard about the race segregated graduation ceremonies, but there's more than that. They've got these culture centers. So like they've got a Hispanic culture center, they've got a Asian American Pacific Islander center. Like every racial group has their own club basically, where they can just talk about being that race, I guess. You're supposed to be Americans. I don't know why you're still separating yourselves out. Whatever. And yeah, so the governor signed it. It's in effect. Hopefully this will really slow them down because these colleges like BSU, Idaho University, they were real set on following this. They're part of some sort of association where it's incentivized. I'm sure they're being paid to implement this DEI stuff. It's like every school basically is part of some sort of an organization who oversees what they do and who advises on what you teach and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't go along with what they suggest, and if you, I don't know, if you're a dissenter, then they kind of kick you out of the club and you lose your accreditation or whatever it is. I don't know what it is that's keeping these people tied to those organizations. There's probably like professional politics there too, where the president of the college wants to be seen a certain way, so they're doing this and that. But yeah, this is good. I'm glad we have this. Glad that passed in Idaho. And that's your good news after all this. So as far as like fighting DEI, I personally think the best thing is just to be able to stop it in its tracks with your words. And like someone says, we need more diversity. Be like, nope, we're working towards a common goal here, and that would distract from the goal. Like, why are you trying to give us a different goal, basically? Yeah, I'll wrap up now. So, for anyone who's still watching, if you are curious to stay in touch, I'm most active on Instagram at In the Know Idaho. We're also on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And we do have an avenue if you're interested in supporting us at all. Basically, this has been a volunteer project for 3 years, and I have really wanted to make it good quality because I feel like conservatives just until Charlie Kirk and Turning Point came along, conservatives didn't really have very good quality stuff, and even in Idaho still, like the local Republican parties are usually bootstrapping it, and things are just cheap, and I just wanted all this social media stuff we do to be a good experience, and I wanted it to be able to compete with what the left does. So I put a lot of work into it, and obviously I don't expect anything in return, but I know there are people who would love to support what we're doing here, and like it does kind of make the difference as to how much I am able to post. Whether there are donations coming in or not. So just something to keep in mind if you are really like looking for a way to support us. We would love that. So we have a Venmo link in our Instagram bio. Just for like a one-time thing. And let's see, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I might be looking into the merch thing. I wasn't really planning on it until I posted something that I was working on for myself. I was trying to make myself a sweatshirt that said "In the Know," and I had some other people wanting to buy some. So I am looking into how to do that. So follow along, and I will post when I have some updates on that. Hopefully those will be available soon. It'd be fun to wear those around. I think the main purpose for merch is basically just to have a conversation starter around town or whatever. And as far as what's next, I am wanting to live stream more because I've got a list of topics, just like this, where I have lots of notes, and it really does help when people comment because that helps to guide the conversation and it helps to let me know if these ideas are landing or not. So hopefully next time we'll have some more comments in here, but I'm thinking about commenting on the phrase, "You can't legislate morality," because I hear that said a lot. It's kind of like it's something people say when the government is trying to take things too far, or when the government is trying to make a law about something that's objectively good and the left doesn't like it, like abortion. Like, oh, you can't legislate that. Like, it's my choice. Whatever. And so I was giving that some deep thought. And I came up with some very interesting conclusions that I would love to share with you all. But they're not brief, so that it has to be a live stream. We could also talk about how fascism and communism are two sides of the same coin. I think this is a very interesting topic. It was really eye-opening for me when I first learned it. So if you haven't thought about this before, really eye-opening. Because people think that like Hitler and who was the communist? Stalin? I don't remember. We can even say Kim Jong-un. I think they have communism going on in North Korea, but people look at these different forms of government and they think that they're really different because they have some differences, but they have a lot of similarities. And it's very interesting because America kind of America's so different from every other option. So yeah, that would be a fun topic. Or if you have any other suggestions, let me know. I also love to talk about how to communicate with people you disagree with, formulate your argument, all that kind of stuff. So I'll look forward to doing another live stream at some point. I'm going to tentatively say it'll be next Tuesday. That's probably a good day of the week for me. And probably the same time. So unless you hear otherwise, I'll probably see y'all again at that time next week. So with that, I will say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been an hour. And that just goes to show you how much I have to say. So I'm glad I get to do this. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you later as soon as I can end these live streams. Alright, Instagram is out.